Well, how you doing, everybody? This is a video for Mr. Fitzgerald's AP government class, and this is for the review of the AP test, and I'm going to be covering the topic of bicameralism, and this is by me, Braxton Brawley. Now, you might be asking yourself, what exactly is bicameralism? Well, that's a fantastic question. I'm glad you asked. Now I'm going to answer it. Bicameralism is the division of a legislative or judicial body into two components or chambers. Now, just how did bicameralism emerge? Bicameralism came to be from the Connecticut Compromise that was struck at the Constitutional Convention in 1787. And another reminder for those of you who have forgotten what the Constitutional Convention in 1787 was, it was where the Founding Fathers, after scrapping the Articles of Confederation, decided to come together and write a new Constitution. Now, hopefully you didn't forget that. If you did, it's okay, but Mr. Fitz probably is not going to be happy with you. It's okay, we can work with that. The Connecticut Compromise, as we talked about in the previous slide, happened in the Constitutional Convention of 1787. Here's what the Connecticut Compromise is. It was a solution between the conflict on representation in Congress by combining the New Jersey plan with the Virginia plan. Now, the problem was that when all the states came together, they had all sorts of different ideas on how they wanted to be represented in the new Congress. Now, the New Jersey plan, this plan, proposed by William Paterson of New Jersey, hence the name New Jersey Plan, called for each state to be represented equally in the new Congress. So that way, each state would have an equal number of representatives in Congress. So that, Florida would have the same number of representatives as Rhode Island, and California would have the same number of representatives as Montana. I mean, naturally you can see what problems might kind of arise from that, especially when the smaller states would kind of disagree with that. Now, the Virginia plan, this plan was proposed by Edmund Randolph of Virginia, called for each state to be represented according to its population in Congress. Now, solution to the Connecticut Compromise. Excuse me, I said that really wrong. Connecticut, excuse me. The result of the Connecticut Compromise was to combine these two plans into a bicameral legislature, the Virginia plan becoming the House of Representatives that we have today, and the New Jersey plan becoming the Senate. Bicameralism in America. Now, obviously, you probably see the parallels between the two now and then how they form the U.S. Congress today. Because of the Connecticut Compromise, America's Congress is a bicameral legislature, and the states have followed this model as well for their own legislative branches. And 49 of the states have bicameralistic legislatures, each having a House and a Senate, with only the exception of Nebraska, who decided to have a unicameral legislature for whatever reason that is beyond me. I guess they just wanted to make a statement, because there's not much going on for Nebraska. Let's go talk about the House of Representatives. Now, this half of Congress is based upon the Virginia plan, which calls for representation in Congress based upon the population of the state. Also remember, at the time the Virginia plan was proposed, that Virginia was a very large state, and therefore they wanted to be able to have more representation in Congress. So there are 435 representatives in the House, each congressman serving 2 terms. Now, the number of congressmen will not change. There will always be 435, but there is always going to, the number of congressmen per state may vary, but they will always add up to a total of 435. The House of Representatives continued. The House is far more party centralized and more hierarchical, however you say that, than the Senate, mainly due to the fact that there are over 4 times as many congressmen than there are senators. Now, the leader of the House is called the Speaker of the House. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory right there. The current Speaker of the House is John Boehner. The House has more of a say on budget and spending than the Senate does, mainly because the House is closer to the people. The House also must pass all articles of impeachment. Now, the Senate. This half of Congress is based upon the New Jersey plan, which calls for each state to be represented equally in Congress. It's like we kind of talked about. New Jersey being a small state, they wanted to make sure the small states had some rights. There are 100 senators in the Senate, 2 senators for each state, Each senator serves in 6-year terms, but the elections are in cycles. Like one group has an election and 2 years later another group. So like let's say that Texas, Louisiana, Alabama, and Georgia, let's say that they're one group and they decide to have their elections 1 year. Then the next years, maybe all the states along the eastern seaboard, they decide to have their elections, and then the rest of the states 2 years later have their elections. So each person is serving a 6-year term. It just depends on when their elections are. Now, unlike the House, since the Senate has equal representation, its power is less centralized due to the fact that each senator has almost the same power as one another. Since there is 100 total senators, 2 for each state, this would essentially give the small states an equal representation in what they had to say. Now, the leader of the Senate is the vice president. The current vice president is Joe Biden. Although, he is rarely involved. He's only really involved whenever there's a tie in the Senate and he has to make a deciding vote. Now, that hasn't happened very often, though. The Senate gives consent to the presidential nominees, such as Supreme Court justices, and they also ratify treaties and hold all impeachment trials. And now, since we have talked about bicameralism in America and how we have a Congress divided into 2 branches of government, so I hope this helped kind of jog your memory a little bit about bicameralism, and hopefully you'll get a 5 on the AP test because of it.